Elden Ring is a magical world filled with lots of fantasy, but it's also a world that can bring lots of frustration and devastation. Here are 15 of the most irritating and annoying enemies that we faced in Elden Ring. These dogs are much smaller than the giant dogs, but they are still very annoying to deal with. Looking kind of like an albino, fireless version of the Hellhounds from Call of Duty Zombies, these enemies will surround you and pin you if given the chance, taking bite after bite out of you. These dogs are agile and they will chase you for great lengths in packs, proving to be a deadly foe to face. They're not overly difficult to kill, just difficult to even get an attack in without another dog chomping at you from the side or from behind. The bladed Talon eagles are a bird type enemy that can be tricky to hit because of their flying ability. They have an appearance of a sort of eagle and hawk hybrid and the behavior of a scavenging crow. When they spot you, they'll start relentlessly attacking you with their bladed talons and beaks. The ones in Stormvale specifically will even grab these explosive barrels nearby to drop on top of you. They're seriously annoying, and killing them will only net you like 98 runes. I would do everything I could to avoid them if I were you. Thankfully, the Chariot enemy is not usually found anywhere else but in dungeons. Because if there is one enemy that seriously gets under our skin, it's this one. It takes up the entire width of whatever corridor it roams, and if one is nearby, you won't have very much time to find some kind of crevice to jump into, as they move very, very quickly. From our experience, no matter how long your HP bar is, they still seem to always one-shot you. What's even worse is there's no normal way to destroy these enemies. The only hope that you have is somehow using the objects around the environment to destroy them. Everything about this enemy is just annoying, irritating, tedious, and just a serious headache. The Militiamen are these tiny humanoid pests that have often been used as an early game rune farming method. The problem is, if you don't know how to deal with these enemies, they can be a serious pain to encounter. They are very small and quick, which can make them a tough opponent to land a hit on. Their own attacks include this sort of long-range kind of claw force attack, also them trying to impale you with their tiny but deadly scythes, trying to swing a ball and chain at your head, and also, if given a chance, jumping onto your face to try to rip it right off and cause some serious, brutal damage. Yeah, these things are small, but they're pretty deadly. So if you're gonna fight them, we'd suggest trying to sneak up on one at a time, because if you face two or more, you're gonna be in for a really bad day. The Kindred of Rot is a creepy insect-like enemy that can be found in various locations such as Sweetwater Cave. Beating them will require having to deal with their long glaives that they wield, so be wary of their attacks, be patient and quick, and be careful that they don't creepy crawl behind you. One of their attacks will actually launch some kind of spine at you that can do some pretty annoying damage. They also are quite proficient with melee attacks, so countering that with your own ranged attacks is ideal. But if you are running a melee build, you'll just have to look for the right opportunity to get in close and deal with those buggers. The Imps, the annoying little creatures that plague the dungeons and catacombs within Elden Ring. These enemies will give you a serious headache as they move quick like these little tiny pests, hurling magic pots at you and come up on you unexpectedly. They always seem to be hiding in corners and in places that will catch you by surprise as they ambush you. Be sure to check all of your corners as you traverse through dungeons, or you may be caught off guard and find yourself quickly surrounded by these irritating little enemies. The Knights are humanoid warriors bound to serve under Godric the Grafted. They carry a large shield which can make it tricky to get in and attack on them, so you're going to have to be patient and wait for an opening when they try to go for their own attack on you. Or you could just try to circle around back behind them and get them that way as well. That said, do be careful of their attacks because they carry these long spears that have some serious range. Between their offensive and defensive abilities, these enemies can be a real pain to eliminate, and as a common theme with many of the enemies in Elden Ring, you're going to need a great deal of patience when facing them. The Abductor Virgin is an enemy that looks like some kind of creepy nun statue hoisted on top of a wagon with wheels while wielding these two large pendulum blades. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. If you get hit by these said blades, you will take some serious damage, so be very wary when approaching these enemies. What's even more annoying is the fact that their blades can even pass through walls. And what makes these enemies even more freaky is the fact that they will pursue you relentlessly, and if they manage to grab you, it's pretty much game over, so make sure you don't stay still. They seem to struggle when you have the high ground, so that may be your best bet in getting the upper hand against these enemies and defeating them instead of them defeating you. The Ancestral Archers are a spirit type of enemy that looks like some kind of bull wielding a longbow, which gives their attacks some serious range. These enemies are typically found in the beautiful magical area of the Eternal City. The arrows that they shoot are high speed, plus they have what seems to be better than 20/20 vision, so they're going to spot you from quite a long way off. The combination of these two things can make it pretty difficult to dodge their attacks or avoid them, making them annoying in that regard. Now, if you do get close to them, they'll switch to some kind of club or axe type weapon, so do keep that in mind when approaching close quarters. Take them on or just avoid them altogether, that is, if you can. Reminiscent of the Wall Masters from the Legend of Zelda series, the Fingercreepers in Elden Ring are these creepy, disembodied hands that have been grafted together and given life. Part of what makes them even creepier is the fact that they move like a spider. These enemies will come at you unexpectedly and quickly, usually waiting in the shadows or on rooftops to fall on top of you, in which they will then relentlessly attack you with their grotesque fingers. Thankfully, fire and bleed work very well against them, so if you can catch a breath from getting slammed by their palms, you should be able to take them out without too much difficulty. We hope. Dogs are generally great, right? I guess unless you're a cat person, but either way, not these giant, vicious, demonic-looking dogs that will give you some serious nightmares. These enemies almost look like what we'd imagine Cerberus looking like if it were a normal dog without 3 heads. Oh man, imagine these Elden Ring dogs with 3 heads? Nah, no thank you. Anyways, being a dog-type enemy, they will lunge towards you, trying to snap at you and bite you. And if they connect these nasty chompers, then you will take some pretty big damage. If they see you, they'll start to howl, which seems to alert the other nearby giant dogs. I mean, come on, one is bad enough, let alone an entire pack. Sidestepping is your friend when taking them on, and if you can get them in range of each other, they might actually even accidentally attack each other. So how about a giant crow? These enemies are seriously intimidating as they tower above you, looking like they were ripped straight out of your worst nightmares. They have a seriously massive head with a huge beak and so many gnarly teeth that you wouldn't even be able to count them if you tried. These enemies will hop around and brutally peck at you without mercy, as if you're some kind of worm squirming in the dirt waiting to be their next meal. They can technically fly, but thankfully not for long durations. Hey, the best of luck to you if you do decide to take on these irritating demon birds. Not all bears are cute and cuddly, especially not these ones. These giant bears in Elden Ring will make you want to go the long way around rather than taking them head on. But if you do decide to fight one, they can be seriously brutal as they try to give you this kind of hug that will only make your insides burst out like a piñata at a giant bear's birthday party. They will lunge at you, bite you, claw you, grab you, squeeze your helpless little body until your eyes bulge out and slam you into the ground, leaving you dazed and confused. Oh, it's exhausting. Well, anyways, have at it if you wish, but I think we're just gonna stick to going the long way around. Revenant is the kind of enemy that looks like it was ripped straight out of The Grudge or something, with its spider-like legs and human-looking head that turns in such unnatural ways, man. They're highly aggressive and can travel between dimensional portals to get up on you very quickly and unexpectedly. If you're not careful, you'll soon fall prey to these freakish enemies and you may not even realize what hit you. They will lunge at you trying to grab and claw you, and they'll even vomit poison all over you if they are given the chance. They are fast, they are very annoying, and if you're gonna kill one, you're gonna need to be quick on your feet, be on your toes, think fast, and if possible, use holy magic, as that is their weakness. The Basilisk is a frog-eyed type of creature with these freakishly large eyes who will ambush you by blowing a mist of death in your direction. Now that is exactly what makes these enemies so annoying, is the mere fact that they will surround themselves and you with these clouds that will inflict death, which means it will build up the instant death meter every single second that you remain inside of it. Now, that will also make it even harder for you to see them and get your own attacks in. Thankfully though, they don't deal any type of physical damage, so if you can avoid their death clouds and are able to spot them through it, you should be able to deal with them. Though it may be harder for melee players rather than for ranged players who can just attack from a distance anyways. Well, those are 15 enemies that we thought were some of the most annoying to deal with in Elden Ring. Let us know what yours are down in the comment section below, and be sure to like Gameology on Facebook and subscribe over on YouTube. Till the next one, Gameologists, game on.